Hello students, welcome to BioWise with Aanchal. In this lecture, we are going to learn about reproduction in animals. In the previous lectures, which you can see here, we have already talked about the asexual and sexual mode of reproduction in plants. In this lecture, we are going to talk about asexual reproduction in smaller animals, then sexual reproduction in animals, and the main content of the chapter, the reproduction in human beings. So without wasting time, let us proceed with the next chapter of Standard 8 Biology, Reproduction in Human. Before going into the detail, let us talk about what is reproduction. So when you say reproduction, reproduction is a process by which an organism produces one of its own kind, right? So reproduction can be of two types. You know that asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, generally there are one parent involved. There is one parent involved and there is no gamete formation. Since there is no gametes formation, there is no variations. But in case of sexual reproduction, there are two parents involved, which are obviously the male parent and the female parent. This is possible because of the formation of gametes, and because of the gametes formation and fusion of the gametes, there is variations. So what variation we can observe in individuals, in human beings, is because of the variation. In higher classes, you will study about the process of meiosis, that is a process by which gametes are formed. In that case, there is always an exchange of chromosomes that takes place. Segment of chromosome is exchanged during that process, and that leads to variation, but that is for the higher classes. So let's go back. So this is asexual and sexual reproduction. We will talk little about asexual reproduction. The methods of asexual reproduction includes binary fission, right? Binary fission. As we have seen in bacteria in the previous chapter, here we can talk about amoeba. Amoeba basically splits into two, baby amoeba you can say, right? There is a division between the cytoplasm. First there is a nuclear division and then there is a division of the cytoplasm. Finally two baby amoeba is formed, right? This is the binary fission. Next you can talk about is budding. Now budding we have already discussed in yeast. Budding happens in hydra, right? Hydra. Now hydra is an marine animal. You can say there is a small hydra baby which develops as a bud from the mother's body, and finally it splits off and then it develops into another organism. Next one, you have fragmentation. Fragmentation. Now fragmentation is seen in tapeworm, is seen in planaria. Planaria, it looks like this. So when you cut it, it will develop into different organisms, right? This entire process is called fragmentation. So this is all about the asexual reproduction in animals. For sexual reproduction, basically the two parents are involved, the male and the female parent. Now male reproduces a gamete which is called sperm, and the female produces a gamete which is called egg. Fusion of the male and the female gamete to produce a zygote is called fertilization. So let us proceed with the reproduction in human beings, starting with the male reproductive system. Before that, let me clear the board. So next we are going to study about the human male reproductive system. In the male reproductive system, let us first draw the diagram to understand. There is urethra, urinary bladder and the urethra. Males have got longer urethra as compared to the females. That is why females are more prone to urinary tract infection, right? Now this is nothing but the urinary bladder, and this is the ureter that is coming from the kidney. Okay, this is the urinary bladder. It is a part of excretory system. Okay, it is a part of excretory system. So I have drawn the excretory system part with the chalk, white color. See, this is urethra. Okay. Now what happens, there is a external organ of the male which is called the penis. Okay. It has got an extra layer of skin over it. Okay. Now there is a two oval organ which is called testis. Testis is located in the scrotum. Scrotum is an external pouch like structure formed in the males which protects the testis from the higher temperature of the body. Generally, the sperm requires a lower temperature as compared to the human body to mature. So, testis is located in the scrotum so that the scrotum is away from the body, leading to a lower temperature where the sperm can easily mature. Okay, now here you have got a coiled structure which is called epididymis, and then you have the vas deferens, that is nothing but the seminal sperm duct. Okay, we'll have a tube like structure. Just before the sperm duct opens up in the urethra, there is a gland present which is called seminal vesicles, followed by another gland which is called the prostate gland, and finally you have the bulbourethral gland or the Cowper's gland. So this is the basic structure of the human male system. Let me label it fast for you. This is vas deferens, this is testis, this is epididymis, then you have got the seminal vesicle, you have the prostate gland, then you have got this one, that is bulbourethral gland, also called the Cowper's gland. Okay. Here in the testis, you have got lobule like structures where the maturation and the formation of sperm happens, and in the middle, these segments, there are seminiferous tubules present. Seminiferous tubules. In between the seminiferous tubules, you have got the interstitial cells. Interstitial cells, also called the Leydig cells. These Leydig cells are responsible for the release of a hormone called testosterone. Okay. Seminiferous tubules helps in the formation of sperm. Sperm moves to the epididymis where they mature. What is sperm maturation? They develop flagella and gains mobility. Once the sperm matures, it moves to the seminal vesicle. Now, seminal vesicle empties the sperm in the urethra. When the sperm is emptied in the urethra, the seminal vesicles releases its secretions and mixes with the sperm. Okay. Then the prostate gland adds alkaline substances to the secreted, that is to the fluid, followed by the bulbourethral gland or the Cowper's gland, which mixes lubricants in the fluid. finally a white color fluid is being formed, which is called semen. Around 2 to 3 ml of the semen is discharged after every ejaculation, and it contains around 20 million to 40 million sperms. Is that clear? This is how the male reproductive system functions. Next, we'll be talking about the female reproductive system. So for that, let me clear the board first. Now next we talk about the female reproductive system. Now female has a totally separate reproductive system, unlike males, where you have the excretory system, that is the urinary bladder, urethra, and is involved, right? In the diagram you can see that. But in the female reproductive system there is completely different organ system. Reason is, in the female body the baby develops. So it needs to have a very hygienic environment. It is a way that entire set of organs are different, not involved. Like male have got a single opening called urethra, from which either urine or semen is passed. But in females there are two separate openings. Okay, you have the urethra, then you have the vaginal opening, followed by the digestive system opening, that is your anus. Is that clear? So female have got totally 3 openings in the lower side of her body, and males have only 2. That is one with the digestive system, one with the urinary system and the reproductive system. In females, one with the digestive system, one with the urinary system, and one with the reproductive system. Is that understood? So let us understand the system on the females. Generally the drawing in the female is little easy. This is the female reproductive system, where you have, you can see this finger-like projections. These are the fimbriae of the fallopian tube, and this is the fallopian tube. Here you have got round ovaries present. In female there are 2 ovaries. Each ovary makes egg in the alternate months. Like for say, suppose January this ovary is working, February this ovary will work. Now formation of egg begins at the age when the girl child starts with the menstrual cycle, that is the menarche, when she attains puberty. So egg formation begins then. And one more important fact that you should know, that a female girl, when she is in the womb of her mother, the number of egg she is going to produce is predetermined. That many follicles are formed in her ovary. So again the number, how many eggs she is going to produce when she attains puberty is pre-decided. Is that clear? Now next one is, you can see here, this is the fallopian tube, this is the uterine wall. This is the uterine wall. So how to label it? This is the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube, the other name is oviduct. Oviduct, but you remember as fallopian tube. This is the muscular organ which is called the uterus. Now ureter is in excretory system, uterus is in the reproductive system. This is the vagina. Okay, then followed by the female external organs. Now here what happens, in the ovary egg is released and egg moves into the fimbriae, that is the finger-like projections of the fallopian tube, picks up the egg and the egg starts moving in the fallopian tube. Now when the sperm is ejaculated, the sperm moves in the opposite direction towards the fallopian tube, and this is the site where the fertilization happens. Okay, so what is the site of fertilization? It is the fallopian tube. Site of fertilization is the fallopian tube. Then suppose fertilization has taken place and the zygote is formed here. Zygote starts dividing into 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, 8 cell stage, 16 cell stage. Then the zygote comes and gets implanted in the uterine wall. Okay, this is the site of implantation. What? It is the site of implantation. Uterus is the site of implantation. Is that clear? So you have fertilization, implantation. What are ovaries? Ovaries are the site of ovulation. Site of ovulation, that is, egg is formed in the ovaries. This is the female reproductive system. Is that clear? Now the question is about the egg formation and the ovulation process. Now in the female there is a cycle of 28 days. This cycle is called the menstrual cycle. Okay, this is called the menstrual cycle. The beginning of the menstrual cycle at the age of say 13, 12, 13, that is called menarche. Menarche. And when the female reaches the age of say 45 to 50, the menstrual cycle stops, that is egg production stops. That is called menopause. Like in men, there is testosterone, in females there is estrogen. So estrogen is a female hormone. There is one more hormone which is called progesterone, that is released during the pregnancy, that is called the pregnancy hormone, is also a female hormone, progesterone. So testosterone is a male hormone and estrogen and progesterone are the female hormones. Now understand, on the 14th day, egg is released. Now how does the egg gets released? Now in the ovary there are something called primary follicles. Okay, primary follicles, the estrogen level is there in your body. That estrogen level increases. Okay, so that increase in the estrogen level goes to your brain, and your brain senses the level of estrogen, which promotes the release of follicle stimulating hormone. It's another hormone that is released by the pituitary. Now the follicle stimulating hormone forms these follicles, that is, which already primary follicles to secondary follicles, then tertiary follicles. Finally the follicles mature and the final follicle is called a Graafian follicle. Okay, Graafian follicle is formed as a large mature follicle, which is called the Graafian follicle. Okay, now Graafian follicle, 14th day, what happens, because of the increase in the FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, there is another hormone which is called luteinizing hormone is released, which causes the maturation of the Graafian follicle, and finally the Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the egg. This egg moves to the fallopian tube. Okay, and whatever is left behind, that is called the corpus luteum. Now corpus luteum releases a hormone called progesterone to maintain pregnancy. Now what happens, suppose this egg undergoes a process of fertilization. Okay, so this corpus luteum will sustain in the female body, continue to produce progesterone so that the baby can grow in the uterus. If there is no fertilization taking place, then the corpus luteum degenerates, progesterone level drops, and the flow of blood begins from the uterus, that is menstrual flow begins. What is menstrual flow? Is basically the uterine wall which was ready to receive the baby, since it has not received the baby, starts shedding its wall, and with the tissues and the blood and the egg cell, it is thrown out of the female body in form of menstrual blood, which is around 3 to 5 days, right, depending upon the female. So 3 to 5 days the entire uterine wall gets thinner again. The inner wall of the uterus is called endometrium, so it becomes thin again, and again begins the entire process of ovulation, thickening, then again thinning, depending upon whether the fertilization happens or not happens. Is that clear? So this entire process is just to have a baby. When the baby grows, there are two terms that will come into your mind. One is embryo and one is fetus. They are not synonyms, okay? Embryo is the initial phase of development of the baby from the zygote to the 8th week of pregnancy. Okay, till that time it's just a mass of cells, but later on it gets differentiated into different organ systems, starts looking human like with head, hand, legs, heart starts beating and all. Then at that moment, after 8 week of gestation, the embryo is termed as fetus, and from that 9th week to the time of delivery of the baby, it is called fetus. Okay, now then what is the gestation period? Gestation period is the duration from the time of implantation to the birth of the baby. The process of birth of the baby is called parturition. Parturition, it's a extra word not there in your book, but still something good to know. The term, scientific term, is called parturition. Okay, after the baby is born, then the baby has to be fed for 6 months with the mother's milk for the health of the baby, and then slowly and steadily, you know how the baby starts developing and grow into the individuals like you who all are watching the video. Yeah, and if you have any query related to the chapter, put it in the comment section. I will answer your query. Okay, so in this lecture, what all we have learned? We have learned about binary fission, budding, then fragmentation, sexual reproduction, zygote formation, right? Then male reproductive system, female reproductive system. I hope you understood the lesson. If answer the evaluation test, it's your understanding, and happy learning. Thank you.